Why building a game is expensive?
The answer is very shocking. So there are different scales of games. Black Myth Wukong. It took around 500 crores to develop that game over a time span of 5 years. They first released PUBG as a global game altogether. Some things happened within our government and everything, and they decided to ban certain set of apps and games. PUBG took the worst of those hits. I have one question for you in return. What do you think is the most revenue-making game of all time? The Indian government, you might have heard in very recent times Prime Minister Modi promoting the gaming culture and the gaming economy.
गेमिंग की दुनिया का बहुत बड़ा मार्केट खड़ा हुआ.
So what are the transitions you have seen down the lane 6 years?
So looking at burning 500 crores over 5 years and you're not going to see a revenue, you do not know if players are going to resonate with it. For 5 years, you're just developing in the dark. What Ludo did in India, we all know. We all have played at some point. But what Ludo did in Middle East, I think that's a very, very different story.
So now what will be the advice for the children?
For kids pursuing a career in gaming, when you think you're ready to work as a professional game developer or game designer or an artist, your recruiter is only going to ask you for 3 things.
Hello guys, welcome to the Startup Tales, where we bring inspiring stories from the world of entrepreneurs. Today we have founder of Shura Games, Shubham Bengle. Let's welcome him on our podcast. Hi Shubham, welcome to our
Ron.
podcast.
Thank you for having us.
So how are you doing?
I'm good.
Just can you introduce to our audience about you, what
Sure.
you do?
Hi everyone, I'm Shubham Bengle. I am founder and design director for Shura Games. And we are currently incubated by Krafton, and we will be launching our game very, very soon.
Guys, stay tuned for the game. So what's the game name?
Game name is Spice Secrets. It's a match 3 with culinary adventures. So we are trying to bring the taste of India to the Western world.
When it will be out?
It'll be out somewhere around mid-October for our early testing. And hopefully by around next February or something, we will have a global launch wherein the game will be fully polished and everything, and it'll be out for the entirety of the world to see.
What's the purpose of building this game?
Spice Secrets is something that is a very, very conceptual game, and the purpose is to teach people a little bit about culinary artworks through a very, very graspable gaming format. Like for example, we are basically creating a match 3 with a kitchen/cooking game at the same time. So we're using spices to show match items and everything, and we are at the same time, when players are matching spices, they're also collecting spices and unlocking new recipes that they can play in the game, as well as they can practice these particular recipes at home. So the idea is to make players chase recipes and create their own recipe book through the game, and later they can use this particular recipe book and all the recipes in it to practice at home.
Crazy. This will be a multiplayer game or?
No. This will be a single player game. Yeah. You can look at it as the next generation of Candy Crush.
Crazy. Okay. So let's come back to you. So we want to know about you more, about your educational background, how you entered gaming space, that kind of. So if you brief on that, that will be helpful for our viewers to know about you more.
Definitely. So when it comes to education, I've been in Pune for about 20 years of my life. First 20 years of my life. I did my usual 12th from HSC board, which was in Pune, and the college name was, I think, Modern College at that time. Now I think they've changed it to something else. But post that, I did a very, very interesting course, which was game design and project management. And this was at a university back then. It used to be called DSK Supinfo Game /Rubica. The history of this particular university is that this was the first French institute that had come to India. And when I say institute, it was not just a gaming college. It had a bunch of other practices. It was a design college, to be specific. So they had courses such as animation, game design, development, game art. There was automobile design. There was product design and digital designing as well. So the speciality about this college was that the infrastructure that they had. When it comes to having something that requires you to have a garage for students to practice, like for example, for automobile, because you're from mechanical engineering background, you need a garage, a practicing garage to, create certain specific things. So DSK had everything under one roof. Like when it came to gaming for our particular courses, we had high-end systems. wherein at that time we had around, I think, GTX 970 in our system, which was given by the college, and every person had their own system with two monitors and like a trolley that you can carry around anywhere on the campus. And that kind of enabled us to sit anywhere we want, or not be in a very standard classroom, schoolroom kind of a environment. And the trainers there, they were very, very educated at that time. We had trainers from all over the world, primarily from France. And these trainers at that time, which was back in 2015, they had worked on games such as games from Bandai Namco, Ubisoft. One of them was actually lead designer for the Prince of Persia back in the Prince of Persia, Sands of Time. So these trainers, the way they taught, we never really had exams. We had a curriculum which was based entirely of assignments and projects.
Okay.
So every year, every year would be divided into two terms, term 1 and term 2. In term 1, there would be a end of the term project, and in term 2, there would be an end of the year project. Both these projects had a timeline of about 6 months, and these were big projects, and we would be validated based on these projects. Now, from first year itself, we were taught how to write properly, because as a game designer, your primary objective is to create documents that everybody on your team understands. So we were taught how to write game design documents, how to develop these particular games, and how to even create basic art models and everything. So on an average, a student from that college would have a lot of skill set when they come out of their college. Majority of these wouldn't actually be used in the workforce that they enter. But yeah, overall, I think my college made me a very, very eligible game designer.
Okay.
Although the course was a 5-year long course, which was an integrated master's course, it was pretty expensive. And yeah, coming back to the course, it was 5-year long course, but I was mischievous enough that in my third year itself, when there were campus recruitments, which we weren't supposed to give interviews for, but I snuck myself in, I gave my resume in. I gave my interviews. I gave interviews for a bunch of places. In the campus interviews itself, a lot of seniors were upset with me, but I happened to land an internship at that time itself. So as a third year student, I was getting the same internship as a fifth year student. Yeah, so from there, I went back to my dean and I told him, see, I'm having the exact same offer as a fifth year student. Give me one reason why I should stay in this college for 2 more years just to get this exact same thing after 2 years. And he said, look, it's up to you. Just, if you think that's the path you want to choose in your career.
Complete your...
No, I didn't.
Crazy.
Imagine, it's like the annual fees at that time was some 8 lakhs.
Crazy. So what was the period when you entered college? What was that year?
I started college in 2015, around 1st of September, yes.
Okay. Back then, how you convinced your parents that you're going to pursue career in gaming? There was not a boom or something, support kind of thing in the gaming. There was not that thing.
No, so like ever since I was a kid, at a very early age, I got introduced to games and got introduced to cyber cafes. And as a child, I used to go to cyber cafes with a pen drive and put games over there and play.
Like Counter-Strike.
Yeah, Counter-Strike, GTA Vice City, like the usual stuff. Dota also at a later stage maybe. But then how that scaled upwards is that at one point, one of the cyber cafe owners went to my dad and said, hey, can you send your son tomorrow? I want help on this one particular game that he has installed. It's not running on this PC.
Okay.
And my dad came home and told me that he wants your help. Why is it that he needs your help? So my dad came with me to see what I'm doing.
Okay.
And when I went there, it was basically because this person had, instead of copying or installing the game file, he had just copied the shortcut and he's pasted it on his desktop. He was expecting it to work. So I identified the problem and I quickly solved it also. And my dad just looked at me and he's like, you can do this, but he can't.
Why?
Although that person is like a cyber cafe owner, as he's set up like 8 to 10 systems over there, but he's not able to, but you can. Okay, there is something that you're doing which is correct. So after that, my dad kind of supported me for, gaming in cyber cafes and all. And then I was hosting events at a point in these cyber cafes, the usual CS tournaments, LP matches, all of those. And yeah, so from there, I think my parents saw that, okay, no, he has something that he can do with gaming. And my mom constantly, like, she was supportive, very, very supportive since the beginning. And at a very early age, around 2012, she had told me that, listen, there's this gaming college and the DSK. And she told me that, I think you can do this. but see what you want to do. And at that time, I didn't even know that there was something called as gaming, because it was more marketed more like an animation college, because animation was in a much bigger boom.
VFX,
Yeah,
animations.
VFX animation had a much bigger boom than a career in gaming. So the idea was to do something in animation. So I told my mom, okay, I'll do something in animation. So when I went to the college, I first went in to check the animation course. And they told me, like, if this is your interest, why are you doing animation? Why don't you do game designing? And I said, what is that? And then they told me that, okay, this is what you do. And I told my dad, I think I'm going to do this. And the fees was the same. So my dad was like, okay, fine, either or, it's up to you, whatever you want to go ahead with. So like that it was, and plus on top of this, there was an entrance exam that DSK had. And this entrance exam was very, very lucrative, to be honest. Like at that time, they were asking us questions that I might be able to answer now. Yeah, like imagine somebody who's 17, 18-year-old, he's coming to the college and you're telling him, okay, here is one level, now you make another one on paper. So this was like one of the exercises, and there were other questions also, like who was the princess, what was the name of the princess in Mario and everything, like general knowledge and a lot of other things also. So overall, I cracked that entrance exam, and then my dad got confidence that okay, he can actually do something, because till 12th they kind of were just going with the flow that take science, give NEET, give JEE. I was like, I don't want to do any of this. I'm not doing any of this. I'm not giving NEET. I'm not giving JEE. If you want, you can beat me up. I don't care. It's not something I want to pursue. So I had that mental clarity that I wanted to do something in creative field, but earlier it was masked as animation, but then later I branched out to gaming.
Crazy. Then you joined
DSK in 2015.
Yes, after 3 years, you badged the job, right?
I joined DSK in 2015.
2015,
In
16, 17, 18.
18, yes.
In 18, you got a job opportunity.
I won't call it a job opportunity. It was an internship.
Internship.
Yeah,
Where?
In Bangalore itself. So I think I can mention their name. Yeah, sure, I can mention. I'm not talking anything bad about them. So my internship was at Zynga. So at that time in 2018, they were paying us 35,000 rupees in hand as an intern.
Oh.
And Zynga at that time was easily top 3 gaming recruiters in India.
Very good, decent money.
Yeah, as
an intern.
Definitely. As a 20-year-old, if you're being told that, okay, you can drop out of college and there's an internship that is paying you 35,000 in hand and everything. Stipend, they used to call it.
Yes.
I was like, yeah, sure, why not? It looks nice. So
how many students they've selected?
Total selection was, I think, they recruited at that time some 10 to 12 people.
You're the only one from 30?
From my batch, I was the only one.
Okay.
Because I was notorious enough to, give interviews, whereas everybody else was just like, no, we'll just give our resumes. If they want, they will call us. So I was going up ahead. Like I was trying to see how much I can hustle my way through it. So I gave interviews at 3 places. It was Zynga, it was Ubisoft, and there was one more studio, I don't remember. I don't think that studio exists anymore. But yeah, I got selected later after 3 weeks of joining Zynga. I got a call from Ubisoft saying, hey, we actually liked your performance and everything, and you are a fit candidate for us to give a design internship to. Would you like to come join? And at that time, I had already started with Zynga, so I didn't take the Ubisoft job.
So how long this period of internship lasted?
Internship was 6 months, but then I had a small mishap because of which my internship was extended. So I was an intern for 11 months at Zynga. After that, I became an associate game designer. And then I was shifted to, in this internship itself, I was shifted to 3 projects to find me the best fit. First, I was working on a game called Draw Something. Then I worked on a game called Farmville. Then lastly, I worked on a game called Black Diamond Casino.
So after 11 months of internship, what next?
After internship, I had a very good mentor. He was the design director at that time. He told me that, see, listen, you're a very bright kid, but you need to understand that there are more people than you in a team. So you need to be a bit more of a team player, because I lacked that skill a little bit. I was that Joshila guy who would just do everything by himself. So he said that, and then he was the one who transitioned me from intern to associate game designer. And yeah, I stayed as an associate game designer for about 3.5 years over there at Zynga. No, 4 years almost. And post that, in around 2022, I had an opportunity to go abroad. I got selected for a company called Gameloft. Gameloft is a very nostalgic company. It's been around for about 20 plus years now. So I was selected for them for Budapest, and I think this was around sometime in 2022. I started the process in November. I got the job offer by March, April. So consider it as 4 or 5 months in just the overall processing and everything. And post that, around July 2022 is when I departed India. And I was there for a good 11 months. Then in June 2023, I came back to India.
After Gameloft, what you did?
After Gameloft, when I came back to India, I had a very good understanding of how the gaming business works. I had a very, very clear thought that, okay, I have worked enough and I've made enough money for, these studios that I've worked as. And why should I make money for somebody else through games and designs that I have created? Why can't I just make it for myself?
Okay, what was the pay scale back then?
Back
So
when
how much you were earning?
to Gameloft?
Yes, Gameloft. You can say.
Well, Gameloft payment was in euros.
Okay.
And it was in Budapest, so Hungary. And the paid difference was €1 was 440 Hungarian forints.
Oh.
So look at it as 440 would be your price for a milk packet and a cheese packet at the same time.
Okay.
So it was pretty decent. Like I don't think it was in INR. Should I tell it in INR or euros?
INR.
In INR, it would be somewhere around 2.5 lakhs.
Per month?
Yeah, per month.
Crazy.
I started
with
working
an experience of 1 year, you could consider.
With an
experience of 1 year. You had an experience of 1 year as an intern, right?
No. This was okay. Intern. I joined Zynga. 11 months I was an intern. After that, I became a full-time employee. Okay.
Okay. For Zynga.
Yes.
How many
Zynga.
months you worked?
I worked in Zynga for 4.5 years total.
4.5 years.
Totally, yes.
Okay.
So around 3.5 years is when I was full-time employee there. Before that, I was an intern. So my pay scale, every year we would get a hike, a very, very generous hike, to be honest. So I started my first job after internship at Zynga itself. It was paying me somewhere between $55,000 to $60,000 rupees.
Crazy.
Then slowly, every year on year, after multiple hikes, it went up. And I think at my best, it was some 95,000 in hand, like in
At Zynga.
2022. Yeah, at Zynga.
Then after you went to Gameloft, came back to India. After then, you didn't work for any organization?
I didn't work for anybody, but I had a very interesting proposition.
Okay.
So there was a guy named Eric from a company called Butcher's Game based in Kyrgyzstan.
Oh.
He had a bit of a speech issue because English is not their first language.
Yes.
And because, they are part Russians, part Mongolians and everything. They had a very, very thick accent. So it was hard for him to make people understand what he was saying. But he was a very good game developer. So he asked me if I can help him with some designs. And he said he will pay me on certain scale. I said, yeah, sure, why not? It started as a side design gig that I was helping him with. Then I told him, look, I see more potential than you. I think we can start pitching this game because it was a pretty decent game. I told him, let's just go out and pitch it. But I can't pitch as a designer. I need to come in as a co-founder.
Okay.
So he said, okay, you can come in as a co-founder.
So what is the company name?
Company name was Butcher's Game.
Butcher's Game.
Yeah.
Okay. How many months you worked for Butcher's Game?
Butcher's Game, roughly around 8-10 months, I think.
Crazy.
Yeah. So I wasn't like full-time working for him.
Okay.
At the same time, I was also making.
So what
my
was
own
your
game.
contribution in Butcher Games?
In Butcher's Games, I was creating the design systems, like how the economy would flow and everything for each game that he has created. Also, on top of it, I helped him with perfecting a few meta game loops and everything, core game loop, meta game loop, all of that. And we were able to extend our user time session from 2 minutes to 8 minutes. And yeah, so
how's Butcher Games doing now?
Now I'm not in touch with him because it's a bit different how their mentality is and everything. So not very well in touch with them. But what happened with Butcher's Game is they had this one very good game. So I told him, I'll pitch it, but you also be there. I just want you to have your own slides. So we were pitching that game. And while I was pitching that, we were pitching this in the Europe region. And at the same time, I also pitched to a few folks here in India. And the folks that I pitched to, they asked me, why are you pitching for somebody else? Why, if you're this knowledgeable, why don't you just pitch a game of yours? So that kind of gave birth.
Spark.
Yes.
Ignited. Crazy. So grateful for them.
Yeah, definitely. This was in 2023, I think around October October, that's when this one particular person said that, why are you pitching for somebody else? Pitch for yourself. I mean, you can make your own game also. Or if you want, you can pitch this exact same game as yours. Just remove the whole Kyrgyzstan studio. I was like, no, I don't want to steal somebody's game. I would much rather make my own. That's when, at the same time, I was also developing Spice Secrets. So Spice Secrets back then, I wanted a prototype. So I had hired a freelance developer, told him like the schematics of the game, that this is what I want, these many levels I want. I had an artist friend of mine who contributed a little bit in terms of creating basic artwork for the whole thing. And that small prototype of mine, when I showed it to my mom, when I showed it to a few ladies around me, the first thing everybody said, what is this new Candy Crush or what? And for me, that was a huge satisfactory moment. I was like, okay, if you can look at my game and compare it with Candy Crush, I'm at the right point. I'm doing something correct. It's meeting the goals. This was a very, very bad prototype now that I look back at it. But yeah, so that's how Spice Secrets came in conception. Then I took this prototype. I went to a friend of mine from Gameloft and I told him that this is what I'm developing. He gave me very, very plausible insights on the game. He's like, you gotta think something, what is gonna be the differentiator part? Like, why would people play your game? Like, you're competing with something that has been there for over a decade. You're competing in a market that is very, very crowded. The casual games market, it's called the Red Sea. Because it's populated. Like, there's a lot of players in the thing, but there's only select few, 10% of the top 10% of the games in casual market are the ones that are profitable or making a crazy numbers of revenue. So he said, you need a differentiating factor, find that about your game. So there were spices already in the game. I said, how about we teach people how to use spices? Because I've lived in Europe, I've roamed in Europe, and every time I met somebody from a different ethnicity who was a European by birth or European by migration or something, the first thing they would tell me is, you're Indian. I love Indian food.
Crazy.
This was the icebreaker every single time. I love Indian food. They would tell me they love Indian food. I would ask them, what have you tried in Indian food? Then they would tell me dishes like biryani, paneer tikka masala, butter chicken. They would tell me these dishes, and it kind of, at that point, it kind of went like, okay, what if I can teach them? Because there are Indians everywhere in the world, and wherever there's an Indian store that is selling our chutneys, our pastes, our masala, our spices, everything that we need in our kitchen. So why not teach them how to use our spices? Because historically, if you look at it, we were invaded for our spices. And that too, the most stupid spice, dalchini. The Portuguese tried to invade us for the spices. Then British also technically first came for spices, but then they saw the bigger picture. But yeah, so I was like, why don't we teach them how to use these spices? If they like Indian food, and we've seen globally Indian food has a recognition for being the tastiest. So why not teach the global audience how to make it at their home? So from there, I came up with a very small goal, which is, if I can teach a family living somewhere in Poland how to switch their breakfast from scrambled eggs to anda burji, because it's the same amount of time it takes to prepare both, I will think my game has succeeded. So when I pitched it in this way, that's when it clicked that, okay, this has huge global potential. After that, we put a pitch together. I got in my co-founder onboarded, and we put together a whole plan, like how we would develop this.
Everything you were capable of doing. What was the need of onboarding a co-founder?
See, I am a good thinker. I'm a good designer. I can somewhat develop at a very, very basic scale. But then at the same time, I'm not a production guy. Like, I do not know how to make a team keep working. I do not know how to keep a team that is, performing by themselves, that is doing their own tasks, that is, responsive and responsible for their own things. For that, my co-founder had to come in on board. He comes from a production background. He's been a producer for about 8 years. Before that, he used to be a QA. And I myself have worked with him earlier at some point in my life. And this person, he just has that team spirit in him. Like, he can put people together, get work done, and he just has that mental clarity of how we can make this concept go from pre-production to post-production to release.
Crazy. So what's his sort of background or experience?
He's a producer. He's been in the industry for about a decade now, and industry as in the gaming industry. And he also comes from a very humble beginning. He started at a very young age, younger than me. He was around 17, 18 when he started working first. Then he got into gaming, and then he started looking for jobs in gaming, and that's how he started as a QA tester. QA is quality assurance testing. So he started as that. Then from there he moved upwards into production. Then he's been a producer for around 8 years now. And his skill set, like I've worked with him and he's worked with me, and he understands my potential and how I work, and I understand what he's capable of, and how he is usually very undervalued in the teams that he is in. So I just told him like, okay, this is happening. Are you coming on board? He said, yeah, let's go.
In the beginning, that you have been backed by Krafton.
Yes.
Can you brief on that part?
So Krafton, I'm incubated by Krafton right now.
Okay.
So there's something
so they
called
run an incubation program or how?
Yes, there is an incubation program by Krafton. It's called KIGI, Krafton India Gaming Incubator. KIGI. Yes. You can look it up. It's very helpful, I feel, for pretty much everybody. Like they are looking to invest and help people who have very creative projects. Like even students can enroll for this. Even industry veterans can enroll for this if they have a project that needs some backing or some mentorship or anything. So this program is basically designed to boost India's gaming economy overall, like in the bigger picture if you look at it. What it does is they provide three things. One is definitely financial aid. Second is mentorship, and third is networking opportunities and everything. Like for future references, like if let's say your game does well, how do we go about it? How do we distribute it to US, or that's where like they provide their key insights. Because Krafton is somebody who has been there, done that, and now they are getting into a more and more publishing side of the games. So that's why.
As an incubator, Krafton, what exactly Krafton helps you in sort of financially or?
There is financial aid, yes, but something that is much more valuable than the money is the time that they give to us. Like on every week we have one or the other workshop sessions. We have monthly check-ins, we have quarterly check-ins, wherein on everything that we create, we get feedback from people who have like 2 decades of experience in developing games. And as a game developer, I think feedback is the best form of criticism for our game at least, because it tells us where we are lacking, how we are lacking, and how we can fix that. So these are the 3 things that Krafton provides.
So yeah, Shubham, as you are into gaming space since 6 years, more than that?
6, 7 now.
6 years. So what are the transitions you have seen down the lane 6 years? So what was the initial? How was the industry? Now what's happening? So yeah, about you could consider mobile games or PC games.
Definitely, past few years have been very pivotal for the gaming industry. For example, earlier when we used to say about games, everybody would think of PC games or console.
Can you explain me with an examples how yearly transitions happened? What kind of games earlier people used to play now, so that will be easy for our viewers to understand more.
Definitely. So I think around 2018 is when, not 2018, 2015 is when mobile games started picking up. And now I think mobile games contribute about 60% of revenue in the overall gaming industry sphere.
You're speaking about India part or
no,
globally?
Globally.
Crazy.
Because I have one question for you in return. What do you think is the most revenue-making game of all time?
I consider PUBG as an
PUBG?
BGMI.
The answer is very shocking. It's not a game that you and me enjoy. It's a game that our moms enjoy. It's Candy Crush.
Oh, crazy.
Candy Crush has been a big player for about 12 years, 13 years now.
Candy Crush was developed by?
King. Yeah, it's a UK-based studio.
Okay.
So Candy Crush has clocked above $13 billion. That's
crazy.
Billion with a B.
Oh, so it's more about the game revenue or the ad revenue?
Yes, game revenue. Candy Crush doesn't has ads. Candy Crush doesn't promote any sort of ads or anything, but they just have their in-app purchases, and they did something that is very excellent. They kept it simple. They created games, they catered to a certain audience, and this audience is somebody that is just staying at home, they want to play something while they are doing their chores and everything, and they're willing to spend $2 or $5 every now and then on the game.
Crazy. This was something shocking and crazy. So yeah, about the transition, what we're speaking.
Yeah, so the big transition I think happened around sometime around 2015, because 2015, 2018, because 2018 is when PUBG came in, which gave a big platform for a lot of players to play social, communicative games.
You're speaking about PUBG Mobile or PUBG PC?
PUBG Mobile.
Okay.
PUBG PC was a mod first. Like, I've played the mod in Arma 3. After that, it became a game. And after it became a game and a very, very huge hit on Steam, Krafton kind of got rights for it. And then Krafton brought it to mobile. And they first released PUBG as a global game altogether. And later, some things happened within our government and everything, and they decided to ban certain set of apps and games. And PUBG took the worst of those hits. But now Krafton has again re-released the game with it's an entirely different game. It's not PUBG anymore. It's called BGMI. So yeah, coming back to the transition. So in 2018, when Krafton launched PUBG, it gave everybody access to play a good game, a very, very competitive, social, communal game that people would enjoy playing together and with against everybody.
And it was the first game, I feel, interactive game where we can speak with our four teammates or that.
Not first. There were a few games earlier, but PUBG in 2018 was the most optimized. So it was available on high-end iPhones till the lowest of low-end, whatever your Xiaomi, whatever you would have. So it gave an access to pretty much everybody to play that game. And that itself took a huge turn in the entire mobile gaming revolution. After that, we started seeing these big names like Call of Duty and GTA was there for a while, but we saw a bunch of big names entering the mobile game market also, who are big giants already very well established in the console and PC genre. They started entering the mobile market. Now, what happened post 2015 is that everybody started having good phones. Like, all your Android phones post 2015 had capability to to play apps that were in AR, had good processing power. Let it be low end, let it be a cheap phone, but it had very good processing power. So that's why it was accessible for everybody. So till that time, till 2015, I think gaming industry revenue was around 25 to 30% from mobile industry. From there to now, it's gone all the way up till 60%. And the PC has the lowest share as of all three combined. So there are three metrics: mobile games, PC games, console games.
Okay.
So mobile has the biggest presence right now, which is, last I checked, it was 52%. This was back in 2023. Now I'm expecting it to go to 60. Then your consoles had around 25%, and the last was your 15 or 20% in PC games. Yeah.
So how do you see India in down the lane 5 years?
I see India as the next big Silicon Valley level candidate, because the tech and the powers that we have right now are nowhere comparable. Like, our engineers are some of the finest in the world, and they're recognized from everywhere else. And now a lot of Indians are realizing that it's not fun to go outside and work for somebody else. Rather stay here, make something that will actually make a change, and make something that they want to work on. And there's a lot of resources available. Like, as I said, Krafton was very resourceful towards us. So there are a lot of other resources available, and that's why I see a lot of big games coming out of India in the next 5 years. And I really want to see a big God of War kind of level of game coming out of India. And I'll tell you a very recent example which made quite a lot of noise in the entire gaming industry. There was a game called Raji. Have you heard about it?
I've heard about Raj.
Raji was developed by my professors from DSK. Both Shruti was our concept art teacher, and Ian was also our art teacher / used to do other things every now and then. But yeah, both of them artist background. Then one of my seniors, he's now CEO over there. I'm not able to recall his name. He comes from a design background. So they created that level of game with a team of 5 to 6 people. Yeah. So just imagine a team of 5, 6 people made a game like that. Now, if you multiply that by 100, If you give 500 people an opportunity like that, we can easily make a game like God of War from India.
We hope soon a game like God of War comes out.
Definitely.
And yeah, how Indian government is supporting.
Indian government, you might have heard in very recent times, Modi actually, Prime Minister Modi promoting the gaming culture and the gaming economy. Like they're telling, he specifically mentioned that I don't want India to be on the consumer end. I want India to be on the providing end. So there are certain things that are in process. Hopefully, we will see a lot of good changes in benefit towards the gaming industry. Currently, there are a few grants available by the government also, but then the understanding that requires to give these grants or receive these grants, that is lacking. The education part is lacking in terms of gaming.
Coming to the career part of gaming, so what do you think whether getting into development of a game has a good career or as a gamer, you say?
See, gaming industry in general offers two pathways. One, you can be a gamer and go the esports way. Second, you can be a developer and go the development way. Okay. Now, in order to be an esports player, you need to have that hand-eye coordination.
Okay.
An esports player has almost similar requirements as an Olympic athlete. Everybody can run, right? But not everybody can run as an Olympian. Got it? So everybody can play games, but the esports player is just gonna be superior at it. Okay, so you need to have that. You need to have that upper edge. Like you need to be up the ranking boards and leaderboards. You need to be topping the charts. You need to have that. What do you say? That sixth sense. That okay, I'm just good at it. If you're there, you can have a very good, very flourishing, very rewarding career as a esports player. Coming to the development part, development is that everybody can get into.
Okay.
Development of games is entirely skill dependent. As long as you can develop skills, certain set of skills, let it be coding, designing, art, or sound engineering and testing. There's a lot, production, management. There's a lot of things that you can do as a developer. So it's entirely skill driven. So it can be taught, right? So that's why that's why there are these two big things. And I would suggest more and more people to look for a career in development, because an esports player can also be a developer, but a developer can't be an esports player. He can be, if he's good at it, he can definitely be, not an issue with that. But it's better if you stick with skill development and then having a career that is rewarding you in like as far as you can go ahead with it.
The mentality nowadays is like earlier it was like someone is playing game, he's playing just for spend time. Okay. So now there are games to stimulate mentally, they have to learn all those task-oriented games. So what are these things booming or people are building?
So I get the mentality part, and I kind of understand why people, usually our parents, if they see you play on phone for 6 hours, they're not going to be happy. If you're not completing your homework and you're not performing well in your school and your studies, obviously it's you're wasting your time. But then at the same time, if you are playing on your phone and you're qualifying for leagues, and like let's say you have a team and you're going to esports event and everything, then that's a good use of time. Then consider it as practicing.
Okay.
So to all the parents, if your child is playing, ask him, are you good at it? Ask him, is he coming first? Is he topping the leaderboard? Ask him if he's ranking good. But if he is not, if he's just spending time, if he's just using games as an escape from his reality, that time needs to be monitored.
So why building a game is expensive?
It depends, right? So there are different scales of games. So we call the big games like GTA and God of War or any other console game like Spider-Man or anything, we call them as AAA games.
AAA games.
Yes. Then there are something called as AA games, which has a good scale to it.
Example?
Which AA, I would say there was this game called Stray that came out recently.
Okay.
You play as a cat, you go around doing basic missions and all. And there's this game called Goat Simulator. I would put it as AA because it's very much fun. AAA would be, as I said, God of War and all of those. Yes. Then there are other genre of games which are more on the low end. But
examples.
I would say most of the mobile games. Okay. Like for example, there are casual games. Like you can't put Candy Crush in either of the AA or AAA, but then it's a simple, fun game.
Fun game. Okay. Very
Even though they have spent their huge amount in making their assets look the way that they do, making everything feel very magical, very impulsive for you to not keep interacting with. So when you compare these three scales, India currently has potential to address all of these.
Okay.
Like the biggest of the biggest names, games that you see abroad, most of them, when you go into credits, you will see a lot of Indian names. And some of the best artists that I know, some of the best developers I know, take up freelance projects and they have contributed to these bigger projects.
Okay.
But now the problem is that in India, right, nobody right now wants to fund a game that is going to take 500 crores to develop. Like, the recent one, Black Myth Wukong, it took around, I think 500 crores or something. I remember the INR value. I don't remember the dollar value of it. It took around 500 crores to develop that game over a time span of 5 years.
5 years.
So you're looking at burning 500 crores over 5 years, and you're not going to see a revenue. You do not know if players are going to resonate with it. For 5 years, you're just developing in the dark. That is a huge risk point for a lot of investors, and I understand their perspective also. Like, will it work? Will it not work? So this is for the AAA games. Okay. Now coming to the AA games. AA games, there are a lot of fun AA games from the Indian market. One of them I recently had the chance to play. It was called Shura, the Dynasty of Cholas. Yes. It's there on Epic Game. It's a AA game, but then again at the same time it's so much fun to play. Like they're telling a story, but they're telling a story in a way that you enjoy playing it. They could become AAA if I feel if they got the right funding and the right talent pool. But then again, that is AA. Now the last tier of other games, the mobile games that I consider all of them, we have a lot of Indian studios that are making a lot of cool mobile games. Like actually, there is one more Indian studio that I would like to mention. I don't recall their name, but I remember the game. It's called Mumbai Gullies.
Mumbai Gullies.
Have you heard about it?
Mumbai Gullies.
It's basically GTA but based in Mumbai.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a studio based in Mumbai.
Yeah.
Nikhil Mankar, I think the founder's name is. I was recently reading about it. He just raised a round for around $1 million.
Okay.
And I think like when you hear something like this, people making a GTA based in Mumbai, it fascinates you. Like, okay, how is this gonna pan out?
I'm gonna see what it is.
Yeah, definitely look it up. I think there's a good trailer, and they do have test demos and everything. So maybe if you reach out, they'll send you a test demo also. So that's there. Yeah. So coming back to the mobile game part. India has a huge market to address. There are a lot of studios that are making some very cool mobile games. I would say there's Bombay Play, there's Moonfrog, then there's Gamesberry. There's a lot of names now. But all of these, they're making games that are working well either in India or that are working fine in the West. They're not trying to address all the markets altogether. Like that's a gap that I've identified recently. But that is the tide of the users. Like, for example, Ludo works very well. Ludo works very well here, but you won't see, people from US playing Ludo. You will see people in US, Indians in US playing Ludo with their friends back in India. But you won't see like the Western crowd resonating well with it. Now, Ludo is a very, very fascinating game to me. Like I've done a bunch of research studies and everything. Like, those games, they make 90-95% of their revenue from ads. Okay. And I've sat in autos and the auto rickshaw guy, he's playing Ludo while he's driving and he's just tapping and he's on call with somebody at the same time. He's like, teri laal wali gayi, dekh, ruk ma aa raha hu. And I'm just hearing and I'm like, okay, like this is an untapped market. And for them, every time they finish a game, they will casually watch 2-3 ads. They don't care about it. They'll wait for the next game and everything. They'll watch 2-3 ads. They'll take a new fare. Now, what Ludo did in India, we all know. Yes. We all have played at some point. But what Ludo did in Middle East, I think that's a very, very different story. So in Middle East, we all know there's no dating apps because of their religious background, and they have very, very strict restrictions on a lot of things. So there are no dating apps. So Ludo brought people together and became a way. It became a way for people to meet new people.
Crazy.
So we saw that tide, and people were actually communicating in game to make plans to meet outside the game. So it became a meetup platform, and that's not just true about Ludo. That's true about a lot of other games. So there is Batoon that they have, then there is Parcheesi, then there is one or two more card games that they have. Now, from India, making games that are resonating well with the Middle Eastern audience has never happened before. But it happened through Ludo. Ludo was the trailblazer in that area, and it just scaled upwards from there.
So Ludo is the only one example from India coming out as a successful game, or there are?
Oh no,
games?
there are a few more. Raji, I mentioned
Raji,
earlier.
yes.
Raji was our first. Raji is a national gem, bro. Raji, you can't compare Raji with anything else. Raji is the first game that made it to Xbox from India.
Crazy. So any other games, adventurous games coming out of India?
There are quite a few. There is one called Sojun Pass. This is a game developed by one of our incubated companies next to us at Krafton. It's a pixelated hack and slash game.
Okay.
Now, I haven't seen any good pixelated hack and slash games from India, but I think they will do good because there's a lot of storytelling that they're putting their time and efforts in. They want to have the best looking pixel art game that comes out of India. So that will be a good entry, I think.
So now, what will be the advice for the children's?
For kids pursuing a career in gaming, don't go to college. This can be a bit controversial, but understand this. And now I am talking this not as a person who's just worked in the gaming industry. I've worked, I have done my set duties and everything. I have had jobs, I've gone abroad, and then I came back to India, and now I have my own company, and I'm somebody who hires people also. So what I would suggest you is do not go to a college. Instead, focus more and invest more in developing skill sets. There are tons of courses and tons of videos that you will find out, and these are just free. Most of them are free. Some of them you might have to pay about $10, $20 to get them. Like there's Udemy, there's Upgrad also has a few game development courses. There's always the god tier teacher of everyone, YouTube. This will basically teach you everything. And there are only two game engines that you need to learn. One is Unity, second is Unreal Engine. Unreal, I wouldn't suggest unless and until you have a very high-end PC, but Unity is accessible for everyone. And just on Unity's website, from installing to making your first game, they will teach you everything. So kids, whoever, like 14-year-olds to 22-year-olds, whoever wants to have a career in gaming, I would suggest you to start looking up on how do I make my first game. And when you think you're ready to work as a professional game developer or a game designer or an artist, your recruiter is only going to ask you for three things. What are the skills you have? What are the projects you have in your portfolio? And how is your communication? Everything else on top of it is just poof. It's not that much of a big deal. So these are the three things that you should develop: your skill sets, a portfolio of games where you can show people that these are the things I've made, these are the games I have made, or this is my artwork, I put animations on it. And the last one is communication. Communication, because you are a part of a team. You can't make a game all by yourself. So you need to know how to understand people when they are talking to you. You need to know what people are expecting you to work on, how people, and how to give work to other people, how to take feedback or how to give feedback. You need to have that certain edge in terms of communication.
So yeah, pretty much we got a discussion on gaming industry, about Shura games, about you, right? So apart from as an entrepreneur, how do you keep yourself?
Now currently my full-time focus is just Shura games and Spice Secrets. But earlier, when I had time, when I was employed by other folks in the industry, I had a lot of activities that I used to do. At a point, I was a bodybuilder. I've competed nationally and I came 6th across India. And this was in 2021. After that, at some point, I've done stand-up comedy. It's weird, like how my mind works, because I had interest in gym and fitness and everything. So when I got job, my first thought was, how do I maximize this? What's the toughest thing you can do? And the toughest thing you can do as a gym or fitness enthusiast is become a bodybuilder and go compete. I was like, okay, let's do this. 2 years, 2 years I like gave my all, and I came sixth across India in 2021. So after that, I realized that I have a gap in terms of the way I speak. I have a public communication gap wherein I can't address an audience. So what's the toughest thing you can do as a public speaker? Make a crowd of unknown people laugh with you. So that's why I did stand-up comedy. I've done around 3-4 gigs here and there. And at a point when I was in Budapest, there's a huge Indian community over there. And I realized everybody at every point, whatever the event is, they would just put in a YouTube playlist and play. I'm like, why is there no Bollywood DJ?
Wow, wow.
So I've been a Bollywood DJ in Budapest, and yeah, I've done holy events over there where I was playing, and like it was crazy. Like I was able to make people from all over India in one room dance
Crazy.
to Bollywood tunes in Budapest. Like for me, that was like, okay, fine, been there, done that. So yeah, apart from this, right now I'm not very well focused on anything else except developing Shura games, because there's a lot of things. There's as a founder, as a design oriented person, there's a lot of caps you have to wear every now and then. Sometimes you have to become a hiring person. Sometimes you have to be a coordinator. Sometimes you have to be a mentor to someone. Sometimes some employees leave because of family issues and everything, so you have to be there for them, tell them how they can come back and all that. So there's a lot of things that at Shura Games that keeps me busy.
Yeah, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you, Shubham, for being on our podcast and discussing about you, about gaming industry. Thank you for the insights. Fine then, thank you. See you until next time.